What if you can invest in a major oil stock that has the potential to double, even triple in the next 30, 20, maybe even 10 years? What's up, Musketeers? It's your commander here, and in today's video, we'll be looking at the stock for BP that has massive potential, in my opinion, the most potential out of all oil and gas stocks to actually give you a very good return in the coming years and pay you while you wait because it has a fantastic dividend. In fact, they're one of the 7 super major oil and gas companies. As a stock, it has been performing really well over the last 25 years. Now, if you want to actually invest into this stock, you're gonna have to look at a few things. You're gonna have to look at the price today and its past performance over the last 25 years. Also, you're gonna have to look at how well the dividend has been paying out over that time period. And you're also gonna look at what are their future business deals. Is this a company that is actually reinvesting into itself? Is it actually gonna make big gains and more sustainable gains in the coming years? Well, Musketeers, let's take a look at the stock first and understand from the charts how it's actually been performing. Alright, Musketeers, so here we have my number one major oil stock that I think has the most potential for growth. It's BP on the New York Stock Exchange at today's price $21.72. Usually it hovers around $20, $21, $22. Now let's look at the chart. We're actually seeing here that on the maximum time frame, this stock has been around for about 25 years, since 1994 on the New York Stock Exchange. We can see here that it started off all the way down to about $20, and then it's been going up very strongly over a period of time, and then it crashed back down. This would have been during the dot-com bubble area here, that crash coming back down, and then a strong rally coming up again up until the 2008 financial crisis, where it went super low, came back up, recovered a bit, and came back down super low again, and then it's kind of been going sideways for a period of time, and now 2020, the magical year, has caused the stock to crash down super low. Now if we look at it here, back in 2010 and even 2008, this stock didn't even go down to $20. It didn't come anywhere close to that. The dividend yield has been very steady, 5.75%, sometimes going up 6.5%, 7%. So this stock is very strong. In fact, so strong you can take a look at the revenue as well and see. So in terms of revenue here, we're looking at BP, the group itself, their revenue in millions of US dollars. You can actually get this information on statista.com. This is information over the last 20 years. Back in 03, you're looking at $171,000 million, so that's actually $171 billion. As we saw, there was a crash down for the dot-com bubble, and then all the way up to 2008, there was a strong rally. The revenue was constantly increasing, and then a crash down as a result of the 2008 financial crisis, strong all the way back up, and then it crashed down, came down to 2016, which is where the new president, the Republican president, came in, and then there was a strong increase here going all the way up. So this company does have a very strong, very good revenue over the last 20 years, and I do expect this company to have a strong revenue and strong business in the future. In fact, let's take a look at their own website and let's see what's going on there. Okay, so on the BP website, we actually have it pulled up with the investor information for shareholders, and on their dividend history, and we can actually see here that you have to, oh well, we'll take the survey after. You can actually download their financial information since 1993 in terms of their ordinary shareholders, their American distributions for shareholders, and so on. They have script dividend programs, dividend reinvestment plans, a lot of different things with this company. But I actually have it already downloaded here, so let's take a look. And all the way on page 26, you'll actually be able to see their share prices. This would have been the share prices for their London stock exchange. But if you go down to the ADS price, which is US dollars per ADS share, you're actually going to see here that it was basically fluctuating from 2015 to 2019, $43.85 up to $45.38, and then this would be the actual quarterly distributions if you are a person who has quarterly distributions enabled. Why I say that is because there are dividends that actually pay out quarterly, biannually, and then for the entire year. So we have it here. You can actually take a look at this on your own. If you go all the way back to all the way to like the contents itself, you'll be able to see all the information as far as the financial performance. This would be for that 4 to 5 year period, profit losses, and so on. All right, Musketeers, so we just looked at BP on the New York Stock Exchange, and we actually saw that it's actually at its lowest price ever since they actually came on to the stock exchange. This is really good news because it's actually showing that it's a fantastic place if you want to actually consider this stock on liquid natural gas production, or are they gonna focus on renewable energy like wind, solar, and so on. Let's take a look at their news throughout this year and let's see what they're actually planning on doing. Alright, Musketeers, so let's look at BP as far as what they're doing in the news, and in terms of number of employees. Are they cutting employees with the events of this year? Are they investing in different areas? What's actually going on? Right here in good old TNT, there is a plan to actually cut workers as well. In fact, let's take a look at that. So BP to cut 149 workers in restructuring. Now the truth is BP has actually been planning this for a while, and why I say that is because if you go on to the Guardian itself, the Guardian website, they actually planned on cutting these workers. See here, this article is more than 6 months old, so more than 6 months ago, BP was actually planning on cutting over 10,000 jobs, representing about 15% of the oil group's 70,000 staff. I do believe BP has more than 70,000 persons working there. Also too, when you actually look at like the subcontractors and stuff, that does amount to, a larger workforce that they actually control. But the job cuts are now hitting the smaller operations, like in the country I'm from, Trinidad. So we're actually seeing here 150 workers. Mightn't sound like much, but trust me, it is a lot of people for a small island. Also too, we're seeing here that back in September, this carbonbrief.org is actually saying that they think the peak oil demand has actually been passed, and according to Carbon Brief analysis, the latest energy outlook, blah blah blah, they're seeing here that 2020 edition of the annual outlook reveals, albeit indirectly, that global oil demand will not regain the levels seen last year. It adds that demand could fall rapidly in the face of stronger climate action by at least 10% this decade and by as much as 50% over the next 20 years. Now this is kind of in accordance to BP's net zero emissions by 2050. That's something that a lot of people aren't talking about. In fact, what I think is really going on is this here. We're looking at oilprice.com and what they stated back in August, and this is a very important thing to point out, Musketeers, because a lot of people are saying, companies are shutting down their oil operations and stuff like that and are moving away from fossil fuels, but that's actually not correct. What's going on is that they are reducing their oil operations, but we're actually seeing that oil itself isn't actually the real profit maker in these companies. You're actually seeing here that op-ed, think big oil makes it cash pumping crude. Not anymore. Argues that big oil's money is now in trading, not in extraction and refining. So this is a very important point here. And we're actually seeing that as they become more focused on natural gas, electricity, and very likely hydrogen. Yes, hydrogen production through their various investments is a huge, absolutely huge income earner for the future for a company like BP, which has been around for a long time. So we're actually seeing here that oil and gas, with this little chart here, the production for Shell, now this can be seen in BP as well, but they're just using Shell for the blue area, is a lot larger. But when we go into 2020, we're seeing that gas pretty much stayed the same, but oil went down a significant amount. What we're saying is that oil used to be the business of oil and gas companies, but it's really gas production, liquid natural gas now. We're also seeing here that the fossil fuel sector, all the way back in August as well, BP was actually looking at a lot of different areas for cutting back on their oil productions. So you're seeing here now that up and coming generation of workers is fully aware of the forces behind climate change. Leading fossil fuel companies are faced with catastrophic loss of talent. Well, I actually don't think that is true. The reason being is because I do know a lot of offshore workers. You can actually look at the application process here under their careers area in BP, and I know a lot of paramedics and who do still want to work offshore, who do still want to work in the oil and gas sector. And we're seeing here BP is a global company that offers a world of opportunities for both professionals and graduates. You can expect world-class training and the flexibility to realize your full potential, and a reward and benefits package. Very important here, reward and benefits package that we believe is second to none. So we're seeing here that BP is saying they're gonna lose talent, and because the upcoming generation is gonna be educated on possibly green energy and climate change and so on and so forth. But I don't believe that. It just doesn't add up. Why would they do that when BP has literally cut 10,000 jobs, and a lot of talented people, I'm sure, were actually released. Sad to say, I do feel sorry for them, but the truth is, companies do restructurings all the time, especially when they have huge events like 2020. Look, 10,000 jobs, and then this article here is saying, they're gonna lose talent. Well, yeah, they're gonna lose talent, but not because people are choosing to not work for BP. It's basically because, well, the companies do that from time to time when you have really harsh economic periods. We're also seeing here that BP pledges to go carbon neutral, and how remains a question by 2050. This is the CEO here, Bernard Looney. He's a very recent CEO as well. He actually came in February. He was actually inaugurated in February to become the global CEO of BP, and he does have a really big push towards green energy, and I do find it very interesting that they chose to have him come in, brand new CEO come in a year like this. The interesting thing about this guy is that he is so hardcore on diversifying, so they're actually going into investments in offshore wind and hydrogen production as a near-term horizon. That's Mr. Looney there. He's a pretty adamant guy on green energy. He likes it a lot, and we're seeing here during the company's Q3 results call, Mr. Looney said BP would probably bid in offshore wind auctions that are scheduled in the next 6 months. Nice little partnership here with Equinor in September for their first foray of offshore wind. I do believe that BP has about $500 million invested already in assets as far as their offshore and wind and hydrogen operations, but they're looking to go to about $5 billion in the coming years, I'd say by 2030. Also too, we're seeing here that yet again, another article, they want to become a renewable energy powerhouse. The total output of this company, oil and gas company BP, wants to reach 50 gigawatts of renewable energy in its portfolio by 2030. However, it's estimated will cost $60 billion. So the thing is, when we have companies being pressured to spend $60 billion within like a 10-year period, you can't expect them actually be able to keep that amount of people. 10,000 people, maybe even more, have been released and will probably be released by the end of 2022, I'd say. The thing is it really sustainable? Are they really doing the best thing in terms of the interest of their workers and stuff? And does it really make sense to give in to the pressure? Because we're seeing people's lives. 10,000 people, if not more, are gonna be impacted in an already tough job market, in an already tough year that has so many people on the poverty line. Is this whole climate change thing really going to impact people in such a major, this whole, going to net zero carbon emissions and pushing to be so green and so sustainable? Is it really gonna save so many lives? Which is, in contrast to what we're actually seeing here. In my little island, 150 people, if not more, because that's 150 breadwinners. So 150 families we're talking about are being totally disrupted. And this is not the first oil and gas company to do major restructuring in my country. So definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're advocating for green energy and all this, sustainable, quote unquote sustainable energy that really doesn't seem to be, giving us the best options. Alright, Musketeers, so we just saw why BP is my #1 major oil stock that you should actually look at if you're considering investing into oil and gas companies. Also too, we look at why the price is so low right now. In fact, it's the lowest in its entire history. Why now is actually a very good time to entertain the idea of investing into it. We also saw that BP has a lot of future business deals, especially in wind and hydrogen production. And we also saw that they have actually reduced their oil production and are looking to focus on liquid natural gas, as it is a lot more profitable and a lot better in terms of its impact on the environment. So Musketeers, is BP a stock that you would invest into? Tell me in the comments below, either yes or no. Also, if there are any other oil and gas companies or even any other stocks that you would like me to take a look at, you can actually post them right in the comments below. And to see my future videos, which oil and gas stocks I think have the most potential for growth in the coming years, you can definitely subscribe down below and give us a follow right up there if you're looking at us on Instagram or Facebook. So Musketeers, that's it for me. I hope to see you in the next video. This is your commander signing out.